was done years ago.
You're a few seconds faster. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody here this evening. Could I have a motion approving the village board meetings from meeting of December 7th, 2023?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any additions, corrections, deletions, whatever? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Citizens' comments. John. I'm not going to pretend. Gavin? John.
Joe.
G-E, oh, it says John on my thing. It's Joe?
Joe again.
Okay, we'll be Joe.
What I was told.
That's why John won't answer me.
What I was told, sorry.
If you come up to the mic and introduce yourself and present what you wish.
May I approach, before I begin, give you a couple things to follow along with?
Certainly.
Thank you.
And are you Joe, or is that Joe?
My name is Brody Smith. I'm Joe's
You're
lawyer.
Brody.
Yeah. So what I'm handing you here is a proposed district plan. So this would be the plan, that we propose as part of the PUD. And I have extra copies here for everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the second document.
Did you get one to the attorney?
Oh, Mr. Baldwin. And then the second document that I'm handing to you is a concept plan. So there's some existing survey information, and then if you flip a couple pages in, you'll see the concept plan for the project that we wanted to talk about today. My name is Brody Smith. I'm an attorney at Bond, Schenck & King, and I represent LaHinch. So that's Joe Gem, who is here representing LaHinch, and also Huber Brewer Construction, represented by Charlie Brewer right here, who are the applicants. And we really appreciate you adding us to your agenda. We're here with a concept plan for a potential planned development district, and we want to get some input from your board before we begin the formal process with the planning board. So we're here to get your reactions to whether this is something that is desirable to the community and is what you're looking for in terms of developing this site. So let me tell you a little bit about it. As you can see in the concept plans, there would be 7 buildings. In total, those 7 buildings would have 332 apartment units. This area is currently zoned industrial, so this is your industrial zone in the town. Multi-family residential is not properly zoned in industrial. That is your highest intensity use district, so it's intended to be used for high intensity uses, but it's not zoned for apartments, which is why we're applying to create a PDD, a planned development district, which would allow this type of development. So we think that to the extent that it is desired by this board to have more multifamily residential in the town, this is the ideal spot to do it because it's not zoned single family residential. This is the spot in the town, in the village I should say, that has been designated for higher intensity use. In your statute, there's a couple limits for the PDDs. It has to be at least 10 acres. This comfortably exceeds 10 acres. It has to have a coverage of no more than 30%. This is 24% in terms of coverage. a couple of the features, just to orient you. Actually, if you want to hold this up north to south, this stops north, so Genesee Street's across the top. The existing lot is vacant. If you go to the second page, you get away from the existing. Well, you see the existing topography. So that blue roof on the top left-hand corner, if you're holding it north to south, that's the co-op, that blue roof building. And then the third page is the proposed layout of the apartment buildings. So this project would include mixed use. So there would be, as you see, one on the access drive from Route 31, a commercial development plot. And then on the Salina Street side, the Route 370 side, there's two different paths for commercial development and a leasing office. It is likely that the co-op building, the blue roof, what we would do is, we've agreed to give access. So it would be, from an engineering point of view, preferable to move the current driveway over a bit and then provide them access of the driveway so you don't have so many curb cuts on your main drag. So that lot and the commercial pad here would have access from this two-way access drive.
So you would be eliminating the existing curb cut?
And moving it over a bit, yeah. Yeah, our traffic consultant tells us that's the best thing from a safety point of view, that sort of thing. And so then from there, you see the arrangement of the buildings, 4-story apartment buildings with there's adequate space to meet all your parking requirements in the proposed layout here. You see there's a lot of space for stormwater management, so you meet all the coverage requirements. And yeah, I think that this potential layout would satisfy a lot of what the community has been asking for in terms of this type of housing, which there isn't enough of available in the county in general, but I think in the village in particular. So I'll stop there. I'll pause for any questions you might have about the process. I guess the broad strokes of the process. What we're hoping for is some input from you, either at this meeting or in the near future, about whether this is a desirable project for us to pursue. If so, what we would then do is prepare more detailed plans in the form of a site plan application to the planning board. That would include landscaping plans, more detailed stormwater design, utility plans, all those things you'd expect in a formal site plan application. And then we'd go to the planning board, work our way up. Eventually, for a PDD, this would end up back at your board. The planning board would make a recommendation, and then your board would have the ultimate decision-making because it's technically a zone change. The other document that I provided to you would be verbiage for a potential district plan. You have 3 or 4 of these in your code now, so this wouldn't be the first time you did it. And so what we did is we just modeled the language from your previous 3 planned development districts that were incorporated in your code and used it. So what you see in there, it looks like a zoning code. That's what the district plans are really meant to be. There's proposed uses that are laid out in the first section, and then there's just a few bulk requirements. There's a maximum height that we put in there, and some language about the phasing of the development. So I'll stop there. See if you have any questions for me or for my clients. We'd be happy to answer them.
When it goes to the planning board, you'd be looking at specifically the housing units, the things that are future. Would that, in any rudimentary sense, be addressed with the planning board or not?
Yeah.
So, just so I understand your question, you mean the size of the units?
No, the orange parts.
What the commercial uses would be.
Would that be
Yeah.
at any level addressed by the planning board this go around?
Oh, for sure. Well, we would like input on that. So if you have a vision, for what development you view to be desirable there, we would incorporate that. We could incorporate that in your district plan. So if you said, we really think that's appropriate for a restaurant use or a retail use, or we think it should be Dunkin' Donuts, whatever, that then, then we can incorporate that. So when you do the district plan, you're essentially writing zoning, you're amending your zoning. So we can incorporate in the plan what sort of commercial use is appropriate there. We think that is some sort of commercial use is appropriate, but we're not married to one or the other. We want to hear what you and the community desire to see that development to be.
Okay. Anyone else, feel free to.
What demographic of financial, I'm trying to see, like, what, is it gonna be an affordable housing type of thing, or is it gonna be just regular apartments, or
The plan is for it to be market.
market?
Yeah.
One of the huge concerns that when your project goes out and the public's aware of it, is going to be traffic. If you go through Baldwinsville, through the Four Corners, it's a challenge. And everybody's going to feel if we had one more car, we won't ever get through. So that's going to be something that's going to be thrown at you. Not that you're going to solve the Four Corners issue, but just be aware of there will be major concern about traffic.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think one advantage to this plan is the fact that we were able to get control over that parcel passing all the way through, right? So it touches 370 and then also Genesee Street on the north. So to the extent that it is desirable that this lot is developed, which I think it is, I think everybody wants to see something going there, right? And it's currently zoned industrial, so I think most people would rather see housing than a factory or something. That's the best possible situation. That you have a developer that gets control, because it's multiple parcels. You see in the district plan, you can see how many parcels we had to get control over to get that whole swath of land. So we can provide access to both of those, larger streets. That's our best shot at having, adequate infrastructure. And then also, I fully expect that the planning board will require us to do a traffic study, which we'll of course comply with, and to the extent that that traffic study determines that any sort of upgrades are required to be provided by the developer, then we comply with that, and I would expect the planning board to condition any sort of approval on us making those upgrades.
What was the thinking about having the access drive that connects to Curtis Ave? Just out of
Oh, Joe, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So controlling that parcel, we discussed maybe, if not a two-way drive, maybe even doing a bike or a walkway.
Right.
We wanted your feedback. We put that in there just the way the site flows for now. So, please.
I would probably prefer that.
Okay.
We're trying to make it the village a walkable village and all that, so trails and things of that nature are paramount in a lot of these new projects. So and also
It's
not a
called
big
an
street.
avenue, but it's a
Sure.
small street.
Well, and just within the site itself, we want to create, walking trails, for additional amenities and be able to tie into the village. I think it's very important for us to be able to coincide with that.
Okay.
So that's an adjustment we could make.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we could repurpose that to pedestrian and bike instead of cars,
Sure,
if
I'm
that's
very
desirable.
disappointed to see a leasing office as opposed to Barnes Dairy coming back. But,
They could move over into the future commercial space.
I have a quick question on the driveway in 31.
Sure.
Where you're showing it here, I think that's great where you're showing it, but is that going to be by the blue building, you show the little building where the propane tank is?
Mhm.
And I believe the right of way is way back in there, but is it going to be out over where the houses are? I think this right here is where the propane tank,
Yeah.
and I was afraid of if they went in here, there was going to be a problem for them. Up here, is this where the current houses are?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
So you've got houses here, here, here.
Yep.
So the idea would be, the safest way to do this would be get rid of this
Yep.
curb cut and have access off of
Oh,
this,
that'd be great.
so that, you don't have cars queuing into 31.
And there's a lot of people walking here too.
Because right now you could have people queuing and stuff, and so
Yep.
this would be an improvement to that.
Perfect.
And then you get them off the main drag they could safely get in and out of both. And we've already agreed to access.
So that'd be great. Yeah, I think that'd be nice.
It moves it up a little bit from,
So this eliminates 6 single-family homes that are on 31 currently.
But I think that's correct.
I'm looking at lot, count the lots.
So there's 2 parcels that we do not have control over yet. We've been ongoing conversations with Mr. Fluff and the Prince family over on 370.
On the other end.
On the other side.
Other side, yeah.
But these plans show that incorporated, we're having ongoing conversations.
So that's the bad news, but the good news is you have a net 325 unit gain in housing.
Not all will feel it's a good news.
Well, to the extent that, again, to the extent that the town desires more multifamily residential, that would be the.
I think I
advantage
saw
to
it here somewhere, these 1, 2, 3-bedroom apartments, a mix of all.
Mix of
different
one
sizes.
and twos.
Yeah, right now it's 1 and 2s.
No townhouses or anything like that?
No.
And it's not mixed-use buildings, you're a mixed-use site, but
That's
it's strictly
correct.
residential and strictly commercial. Correct.
Now, if it's important to the board that it be a different mix, we could look at that, but the best sort of living
No, I just
situation
listened
is
to a
not.
Ryan McMahon presentation.
Yeah.
He envisioned everything being mixed-use, I think.
Yeah, I mean, our preference is just in terms of quality of life, so that people live, and then if there's, whatever, you determine you think the desirable commercial use is, they walk across the driveway to that, and that's not beneath their living room.
Can I ask a question? No pickleball.
This is our treasurer.
I'm Mark Baker, I'm the treasurer. I just got a kind of a double question. If the project, I know it's very preliminary, but what's your target, like assessed value for the property? Would it be, is this like a $10 million project or something like that, number one? Number two, would you be seeking a pilot from Osida?
So I don't know if we have a cap build yet for the total project. I can tell you that around the county, and we could maybe, I could show you some numbers one-on-one if you want,
I'm just
in terms of what the
curious.
assessments are per apartment. There's data, as so many of these apartment projects are now, kicking in because of Micron. There's better clarity as to what the proper assessment per apartment is. So it's certainly be a net gain for the community in terms of tax revenue, there's no doubt about that. But whether or not we would seek a pilot from the IDA, that's a possibility. We don't have any application in right now, obviously, but that's possible. If that were to happen, then obviously the village would benefit from the pilot, and just in a different way.
Yeah.
And the school district and everybody else, same ratios. So the IDA pilot would distribute the money at the same ratios as if it was tax on the tax roll. And the way that the IDA's pilots goes, they diminish
We
the
tend to make
benefit.
out up front and then it diminishes over time.
Yeah, 10%, and then it's fully on the tax roll after 10 years. But my client hasn't told me to do that yet. That's how it works. But we don't have an application yet, but that's possible. I don't want to say it's not possible, it's possible.
332 units, 411 parking spaces, so your residents will be restricted on how many cars they can own.
Yeah, so those calculations were done treating one bedrooms different than two bedrooms in terms of the amount of parking spaces required for each type of unit.
It's approximately 1.25 per unit. Got my calculator on it.
So the writing.
And some will be garage parking, some will be surface parking. If there's a strong preference from the board, that mix can be altered.
My mother-in-law would only rent it with a garage.
Right. Some people value that very much. Some people,
Thankfully, she's not driving it.
yeah, maybe not, but, yeah. So, in my experience in other places, sometimes there's not a desire for like really large parking fields, and that, having a mix of garage and surface parking is desirable if you don't want giant parking lots, you don't want too many out structures. The mix is designed to be, you know, a desirable mix, but you could change it.
And I assume as this is developed, you'd be looking at screening between existing properties on Kershaw and the backside of your parking garages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It may even be there currently, I don't know.
Oh, 100%, yeah. So to the extent there is any existing vegetation that could be used, that'd be great. But we anticipate having to prepare a landscaping plan with the planning board that would provide screening between this property and the single-family houses on that side. On the other side, it's railroad tracks.
Yeah.
So there's not much to be done there. But that property line is certainly in our mind that there would be a landscaping plan to address that.
I know one or two board members will probably bring that up, just giving you a heads up.
Yeah, we fully expect
Not the
to
planning board.
incorporate that into the plan.
Bob, do you think of anything else we need to be
No, I
addressing
think
at
this
this point?
is good. I think the board is, and I said, ask questions and so forth, if this seems to be something appropriate, I think referring it to the planning board, and then let it work your way back up, then we can work with the language on the legislation. And then, of course, some of that will have to do with what the planning board's recommendations are. And so we'll coordinate that as it comes back through.
I do like the fact that I'm often concerned with the character of the village of Baldwinsville changing, going from single-family homes to apartments. We already have a few. We have several on the planning table that haven't reached fruition yet. But I do like the fact that these are actually tucked in. As
Yeah,
you mentioned, they're on a property that has limited potential for what it can do.
yeah, I think that's a really good observation. I mean, that property can't be improved for single-family residential. Right now, it's zoned to be industrial. So our hope would be this would be more, more desirable to all the neighboring properties than a factory or an industrial use. So in that sense, I think the PDD is a great opportunity to provide that neighborhood with a less intensive use and more desirable use, a use where you could have walkable, retail or food or whatever we decide with that mixed use commercial. And I know, it's always, concern about changing the character of the neighborhood. We're reacting to a market and, a stated desire for more of this type of housing, because we know that there is a shortage of housing that's begun and will get worse. So to the extent that the board agrees with that and views that, okay, the village needs more multifamily residential, what would be the best place to do that if that's a need going forward? We think this is the best place, and the village should do it in the industrial zone. So, access to two major, roads, two largest roads in the village, really, and that'd be the best way to minimize any kind of impact on the infrastructure. But we want to hear, we don't want to go through the planning board if this is. We want your input. We want to know.
I wanted
what
to
you
come
think
here
about it.
first before
Yeah.
going to the planning board,
Yeah.
because I wanted this board to have a chance to look at it before the planners did.
Chuck, you have anything?
No, I just asked that, and I think it'd be great to clean that area up. This has been an issue for years down there, but we'll be more involved when they get into the stormwater and the water and sewer and what have you.
So would those be, that's a private road going in there, or are you looking for something to become a village street? He's in charge of streets.
I think it's just a right of way now, doesn't it? What goes in there?
I'm asking, the access drive,
Yeah.
would that remain a private drive?
I think that's open for discussion.
Yeah, we've done them both ways, so
Yeah.
it's usually up to conversations with the town in terms of what they would desire.
If the town desires for it to be dedicated, that road can be built to town specs. If the town does not desire to have control, then it could be a private drive.
Okay.
Might be used as a cut-through.
I don't think it Save you money. Okay.
No more so than Curtis Ave.
I was gonna say, the people that are using Curtis Avenue around like.
For that purpose.
And you drop a stop sign there and one there.
Right.
Guidance, Robert.
Okay, then you can have a motion referred to the planning board, and then,
Okay, so do we do that right now, or we put it down under new business with a motion?
well, you can do that now. So we don't have to stick around as a game.
Okay. Yeah. Someone like to make a motion to refer, does this have a name? Aldersville Town Center Plan Development District
Yes, sir.
to the planning board for their review?
I'll make that one.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Good luck.
Well, we appreciate your support, and we'll keep your attorney in the loop as we progress.
We'll warn you that later on our agenda, the planning board chair, we're accepting his resignation. So, just so you're aware of that. The good people still on the planning board, but John's stepping down.
I'll also give a copy of this to my partner Jamie.
Of course. I can provide that to Jamie too. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
If you have any concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to us and
Well,
communicate.
we really appreciate it, and we will be. We'll be reaching out to make sure that as this progresses, we want this to be something that meets your planning goals, because we're going to end up at your board. So we want to make sure that you're on board every step of the way as this evolves.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Put this
Big one.
Any other citizen comments?
Yeah, I know it's a shock. 352 units, really? I mean, come on, we got traffic backed up on 370. You gotta wait for 5 lights to get through on rush hour. 5 cycles of the light to get through 370 as it is now at rush hour. 31 is backed up from 370 to where the village starts on a regular basis. And you're gonna fit 352 more units of people into that space? What about the impact on the schools? That's a lot of, can the schools, the paramedics, the police department, it's
That's-
more. It's like,
Sally, that would be part of the planning
I'm
process.
just saying, 352? And there's no push on the state to fix the traffic? You know I had to say it.
I know you're going to say this, but I don't know what you would have the state do, other than build the bridge and complete the bypass.
Yeah, and the more pressure you guys put on the state to fix it, the more likely it is to get done, because they're not listening to me. But I live here, I walk here, I see all the traffic, even if I'm not driving. But I know that on 370, it's 5 cycles of the light. When you get to the point where traffic is backed up, 5 cycles of the traffic light to make it through the light. That's a lot. And it just keeps backing up and backing up and backing up. And I can't imagine that adding more apartments using 370 is gonna make it better. It's just my opinion.
And we welcome you here every meeting, Sally, to express your opinions, you know.
I appreciate it. But it's,
Anyone else like to address the board? If not, we'll move on to trustees' comments. We'll start with you, Megan.
I'll just say happy holidays to everyone. Skip to the agenda.
Oh, me? I'd also like to wish everyone a happy holiday and see you next year. That's it.
Yeah, ditto. I guess. All right. You guys took mine. Yeah, and hopefully Syracuse wins tonight. You know? Other than that, stick to the agenda.
You didn't have to do a sports thing.
I do. I'm the sports guy. I'm the sports guy. We all know somebody's meteorology. I believe Shep maybe would have been, but he's not here, so.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't really have comments to make at this time. Everybody else has wished everyone happy holidays. I could say the same, but they've already done it for me. It's interesting to see projects come before us. They aren't always going to be projects we're thrilled with. But on the other hand, brownfields aren't real exciting either. So we'll see where we go from there. Be interesting to see what the planning board comes up with. With that, I did have something, but as Ruth said, I need to write it down. I don't know what it is. I was fumbling, thinking it'd come back, but it's not going to. It'll be back tomorrow. Move on to our attorney.
As the board is aware, the Cammon litigation matter has been resolved, and so I would like to put on the agenda a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute the settlement agreement and release in this matter, subject to attorney approval, and to stipulate discontinuance and regarding the acceptance of the settlement. So I'd like to put that on as an item, that'd be item G. But other than that, I just also wish everybody happy holidays and see everybody next year.
Thank you. Moving on to our village clerk, Charlie.
I just wanted to remind everybody that due to the Christmas holiday, their water bills will be due now on the 27th without penalty, so there's no penalty before then.
Oh. Our treasurer.
Just real quick, the budget has been published on our website, and it's available in hard copy at the village clerk's office for review. And it's been worked on very diligently by a large group of people, and so I'm not saying there won't be any further changes to it, but it's pretty solid right now, I think so. And then the only other thing is there's some budget modifications on the agenda following this, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
I want to echo what Mark said and remind trustees and department heads that it's still a living document. So we can, if you see something glaring that we didn't address or that you think we should address, make it known.
Yeah, good point.
I always think of the year that we did this, and then a gentleman pointed out that we had skipped the streetlights, which was, at that point, an $80,000 item on the budget. Moving on to our senior center, Ruth.
I just want to take a minute to say, most of the people on this board are probably aware that the Volunteer Center, Christmas Bureau, does an amazing job, but I want to commend them and applaud them because they make a happy holiday possible for many of our citizens. I had a chance to go through and see the work they do with one of their folks, and just want to say thank you to them and for all the service and the happiness and good holiday cheer they bring to the folks in our community. And that's it.
Moving on to DPW Superintendent.
Yeah, I believe I spoke last meeting about this also, but we are not picking brush up anymore this year. Right up until today, we keep getting calls that people out raking their lawns, and I have to remind them that it's the end of December, and we're not picking brush up anymore. That equipment's been put away till spring. The snowplow has no problems with pushing it back up in the yard, so please don't rake it out in the road. But we'll be there this spring to pick it up. The weather's been a little better now. We're still doing a lot of tree trimming over in the Ford track. That's going very well. A lot of the residents over there are really pleased with that. The big deal was this last week was a water break. We had a major water break on Genesee Street here, close to the diner. And the problem with this water break was it affected both sides of the river because of where the piping is when we had to shut off. There was a major break, and we had water back within an hour or so. Not full pressure, but got it back to most everyone. And the only parts that was really affected then was from like the diner to the Four Corners. And the guys did a great job of getting down there. They had like 6 feet of concrete to get through. That was a problem. That was poured in there years ago. And to a long day, they had 90-pound hammers around the water main to get there. Why that was in there, we have no idea. But that really slowed it up a little bit. But the people were with low pressure for quite a while, but not many had no pressure. So guys did a great job cleaning that up. And other than that, nothing else. There's questions.
Moving along to our police department.
Nothing this evening unless there's questions, man.
Okay. I wrote down the things, some of the things I forgot. Well, you get.
I figured they'd come as soon as the meeting was adjourned.
I'm going to point out that I wanted to extend the village's gratitude to the water department. Those guys that were out there working till 10 o'clock that night.
1:30.
Yeah, 1:30 in the morning. And then if you came back on the rainy, miserable next day, they were out there with DPW putting it back together again, filling the hole in. Wasn't a good time. So any kudos that we can give to those folks, we need to.
A lot of obstacles that day, huh?
It was a
A
challenge.
lot of hiccups.
Yeah, and we did have a couple of guys from the highway come down and give me a hand too.
Yeah.
They were a little short. It was just traffic, everything was a problem there. And they got it, they did a great job.
Good dedication.
And then I want to move to the police department because I want to give kudos to the chief, to Communication Officer Long, and to Sergeant Allen for how they handled one citizen's concerns over a hit-and-run accident. And this individual communicated to the village, and her letter was shared. I've been in touch with her and got a much longer letter back. In reading the letter, the key thing to me in this whole thing was the balancing of the responsibility of law enforcement with showing compassion for the citizen, which you guys do perfectly. That's been the motto of your department as long as I've been around. And she was really appreciative of that, and I think you ought to be commended for doing it. Because often we look at law enforcement, people look at law enforcement as the gun, the badge, and that's it. They don't see the heart that's in there also. And proud of the fact that our police force exhibits that.
I will ensure that that message is delivered.
Okay.
And you know as well as I that on our patch it says service with understanding, and that's been the department's motto since the department was reorganized in 1972. So for over 50 years, that's what we've been doing. And this board has charged me with the task of ensuring that that remains the case, and we strive for that every day.
And it's appreciated by those who interact with you, I can tell you.
Thank you.
I know I experienced it personally, and it's, I don't know if it's expected, but it sure is appreciated when it happens. Thank you. Moving on to pending business, there is none. So move to new business. Can I have a motion to approve the budget modifications as proposed in the document budget modifications 2023-12-21 PDF?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion, Ruth? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Can I have a motion to set a public hearing for Thursday, January 4th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. regarding the adoption of the proposed 2024-2025 village budget?
Moved. Second.
Discussion. And this budget, as you point out, is available in Village Hall?
Yeah, it's available on the website, on
Website.
baldwinsville.org. there's a copy of it there under documents, and then, I don't know where it is, village clerk maybe, but it's pretty easy to find it.
Would there be
And then
a
there's,
hard copy or two? of
there's
that?
hard copies, there's a pile of hard copies at the window here, and if we run out of them, we'll make more. So,
Very good.
and it's got a little summary up in the upper right corner for people, I think, of the important questions that people want to know, and then all the detail for all of the, you know, the general fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item C, a motion to set a public hearing for Thursday, January 4th, 2024 at 7:35 to consider proposed local law to override the property tax cap for the coming fiscal year.
Second. Just want to remind the public that it's just procedurally, it's not something that we're expecting to exceed the tax cap or anything like that, it's just procedural.
And we're not expecting droves to come in and discuss the budget. We're giving them 5 minutes.
Yeah, just as a point, the budget that is being presented for approval lives within the tax cap. We have not exceeded the tax cap in that budget.
Right.
The comptroller of New York State has said, if you pass this kind of a law, then if you make a mistake in the budget where you do exceed it, then we're not going to come after you because you've done the proper procedure.
And as Nate was saying, we've done this as long as the tax cap's been in place.
That's right.
And we've never exceeded it.
But we're living within the tax cap with this budget.
And hopefully, a month later, we'll rescind this. So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Motion to renew, item D, motion to renew the 2024 vision proposal with our current carrier, Shelter Point Vision, at the current 2023 rates.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. I mean, anytime we can get the same rates, we keep it.
We've had them now 3 years in a row, they haven't changed.
Item E, motion to appoint Megan O'Donnell as deputy mayor effective 12/21/2023 at a rate of $637.50 per month.
Move.
Okay, second. I didn't know if you were gonna do that based on, or if you're gonna rescind this.
Any discussion?
No? Oh, good. You know, keep him on his toes like he kept, Clarky on his toes.
Try.
All right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item F, motion to accept the resignation of Chairman John Finello effective December 31st, 2023 from the planning board, and I would like to add with regrets.
Or second.
Yeah.
I'd like to add that John has done an excellent job leading that board. And wish him the best as he's leaving the area. And, we'll strive to move forward from here on. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And item G, we have a motion authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement to remove the traffic light on Downer Street. And I don't know if there's anything else you want me to put in that motion?
Well, just the settlement agreement, subject to attorney approval, which I approve.
Okay.
You got it. Okay. So somebody make that motion?
Aye.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Carried. Seeing nothing else, anything else anybody wants to bring up before we make a motion to pay?
Is that the light by Eckert's or what?
Yes, it is.
Because it was working today.
It works. The problem is that the people that are responsible for it do not want to maintain it.
But they're building more apartments behind Eckert's, and there's going to be more people needing the light.
But they don't want to maintain, that's not our light.
Right, I'm just saying,
We've been advised
The
that's
two
not even the
against-
right place for the light. That's what's gonna happen.
Okay, are they gonna put in a different light?
We're gonna remove the light.
There's no light at that entrance to those apartments now. The entrance goes into for the drugstore. It does not go into where the apartments are.
Right, but, well, they can come down that road to the side of the drugstore.
If they wind their way over there, they can.
Yeah, and I see people doing that, especially if they're making left-hand turns.
But we are gonna remove
The
that.
property owners do not wish to have that light.
I just trying to prevent,
Right.
But the problem is,
Accidents.
Sally, they don't maintain it. And when the
Right.
light doesn't work, now you have a major problem on the
Yes.
street.
No,
And they
I-
won't maintain it and they don't want it there. So they are going to pay to have it removed.
are we gonna put in, I mean, if, I just,
There will be stop signs,
okay, that's what I was,
yeah. From the
Sorry.
side, from the side streets.
I'm just.
Downer Street will be
Oh,
Through the street, like
a
Well,
Thrift
that's-
Street like it had been for 20,000 years
yeah,
before.
but that was so many, that was before so many apartments were added in that area.
You're right.
I like to prevent accidents. It's a thing.
We leave traffic safety up to our police department to advise us, as opposed to us trying to guess
Okay.
what traffic's doing. Have a motion to pay bills as audited.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:16.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.